After trading my Xbox Series X to GameStop, it made me think about GameStop in general. Is it a necessary thing to have, or is it a necessary evil? With me mostly playing on PlayStation 5 and PC nowadays, I kind of wonder, like, physical copies of games, how prominent they really are, in this day and age. Back in the seventh generation, even a part of the eighth generation around the PS4, physical games were like really a big deal. Nowadays, you look at the ninth generation, when you look at key cards and you look at some games that don't have everything on a disc, you see what Xbox is doing now. And, PlayStation's like that one stronghold that you really want to still get physical copies of games for. I wonder if GameStop is still necessary to be around for those older or those, just PS5 games that still do physical for the most part. Because even with Nintendo, they're doing key cards for the most part, and they're not necessarily guaranteed if it's going to be that way. So I wonder about this, and I want to know your thoughts as well. So let me know in the comment section what you think about GameStop in general. I'm gonna give you my thoughts. Basically, I feel like they still need to be around for hardware purposes. When you have like a console that you want to get rid of, and sometimes selling it is not the best option be due to certain prices and other things, they should still be around as an option. Now, some people are already saying it. Well, GameStop give you really bad, value for your trade, and in most cases they do. Now, when I traded in my Xbox Series X, I wasn't looking for a boatload of money or anything close to the value of what the Xbox Series X that I paid for. I just needed something that was reasonable for Christmas or whatever, because I used that to buy something else, and it is going to be a great Christmas for an individual that I talked about in my last video. And but for everybody, some people feel like they should get more, and GameStop is one of those places that don't really give you the value for what you trade in. I remember one time, matter of fact, it was the same time I was trading in my Xbox Series X. Somebody came in with a couple of games, and basically, I can't remember what the games were, but I don't think they were sports titles. But they basically told them they could get like $1.35 for them. So I was looking like $1.35, and that was for two games. And I was like, ain't no way that they would do people like that. But they've been doing it for years, and it is something that I don't really look into as far as trading. But like I said, when I traded my Xbox Series X, I did try to go on the secondary market to trade it or sell it, and some of the people that was wanting to buy it were just as bad as GameStop. Like some of these people were like trying to get my Xbox Series X for under $200. Someone was trying to give me 300, and I'm talking about just the Series X and all the games. I had like 30 something games, and they wanted all of that for less than $300. And I was like, I honestly, I can go to GameStop and get more than that, and I did. So it was kind of crazy how that played out. But when you really look at the landscape of GameStop, when you look at what they offer as far as physical copies of games, if you want to go back and get some PS4 games, PS5 games, even some Xbox One, Xbox Series games, and I'll even go back even further and say, look, hey, they even do games for the Xbox 360 and PS3 if you're at the right particular GameStop. You can get some really good games for the value that you're looking for as far as buying games. Like I went there, they always have like these 2 for 1 or 3 for 2 or 4 for 1 or something. They had one of those things going on the other day, and after I traded in the Xbox Series, I went back and I said, obviously I had to go home and drop off the trade in thing that I got from my Xbox Series, and when I went back and I did do I think they had like 2 for 1, and I got like 3 games for like under $20, and these were like really good games that I got that I just did not was not able to either, let's say I didn't have the means to pick up on PC, or I just wanted a physical copy of, so I did manage to get that. And they always have those type of situations where if you're a person that's not really leaning into digital, which we'll talk about that before this video is over, if you're not really leaning into digital and you still like physical copies of games, I think that's what GameStop is, that necessary thing. The necessary evil part of it is basically the trade-in stuff. I could take those same games I got for less than $20, the 3 games, go back and try to trade them back to them at some time, um, probably will get anywhere between $3 to $4. And that's kind of some BS. You know what I mean? So it was kind of it's kind of disheartening on that sense. That's where like it's not really necessary, or it's the necessary evil, because they do some things that help you out as far as finding certain games, and especially like if games get delisted or whatever, it's probably one of the best places to go. This and your local mom and pop's retro store, which I value them over any GameStop at the end of the day. But when I'm just talking about GameStop, that's what it is. And like I said, for the record, I'll say it again. My Xbox Series X, the one that I did trade in, I got really good value for that, and the games that I traded in, to the point where I got something that my little man, you just saw him walk out the door. He's really going to be happy that he got. So regardless of whatever the trade value I did get, I was able to get that in return, and that you can't put a price tag on whatever his happiness will be when it comes to Christmas. Now, when I'm talking about let's say digital, physical, if you're holding on to physical stuff like I am, you can see my background. I moved some of my games because I have a lot of games. Some of my games are downstairs now, so this is not all of them. But when you're looking at the physical side of things, um, I can see where people could hold on to them and want to really have something that they feel that is theirs. I'm one of those people. Most of these games you see behind me, probably about 70% of these came from a GameStop or a EB Games. My collection comes from it is the lifeblood of whatever GameStop or EB Games I went to, and it was just it was just a fun time to collect these games. But nowadays, I don't see myself really trying to hang on to more physical stuff when it comes to this generation. It's one of the reasons why I did get rid of my Xbox Series and my Xbox Series S back there. I got rid of both. I still got the boxes, but I got rid of them because of the fact that I didn't feel any value of keeping those anymore. I just didn't. Most of the games, if not all of them, are on my PC, and I play them here on my PC. Or like I said, outside of Halo 5, which I am kicking myself for not playing that game, but that'll be a game I will play at some point, and I will get back to it at some point. But as of right now, I just don't see no value of holding on to that console and keeping it. So I traded it in. And when it comes to physical stuff, it was just so good back in the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and even a part of the PS4 days. Anything from those days on back, physical copies of games are just phenomenal. And you could throw the Xbox One in there because they haven't really embraced that whole digital side of thing at that point. So you could throw that in there a little bit. You can just and this is the thing. Just for the purpose of Halo 5, I may go in and buy like an Xbox One S or Xbox One, just original Xbox One, and just play Halo 5. I think I'll probably find an Xbox One for probably $80 right now. But that's the thing. That's just the only reason I'll get it for. And yeah, that's it. I can't even think of nothing else. But with that being said, it's like the physical landscape right now is pretty dire. I talked about the Xbox Series. I talked about the Nintendo Switch 2 with their key cards. And even to an extent, the PS5 is not as a safe haven as we would like it to be. But, that's like our only hope. And when it comes to GameStop, get back and talk about GameStop. When it comes to GameStop, this is the company that basically is going to hold it all together when it comes to physical copies of games. Once GameStop fall, once they fall, that's going to be it. There is going to be no incentive for companies to make physical games. You already seen Best Buy. They're kind of getting out of the business of holding on to physical games. Walmart, I just went there for Black Friday, and they still holding on to the GameStop. The Walmart I went to, they're still holding on to physical copies, but you can tell it's not as prominent as it used to be. And your mom and pop shops that are still around, but they're not a chain area. I mean, I think like the last chain retro game store, physical copy game store that was still out there was like Play and Trade, and like the closest one to me is like in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. So I mean, I have to drive almost 4 hours just to get to there. So there are like maybe 3 of them left in the country. So it's like GameStop or nothing else. Because like I said, everything else is pretty much falling by the wayside. Walmart, Best Buy, Target. Matter of fact, I may even go to Target tomorrow because I heard that they're basically trying to offload all their physical stuff, and it's like dirt cheap to get some of their physical games. So that might be something I may look into down the road as far as actually going there and yeah, look into what they got. But this is where I say GameStop is necessary. The necessary evil part is the trade-ins. The necessary evil part is the stuff they try to push on you. But at the same time, honestly, at the end of the day, I would rather like to keep them around. I rather would like to keep them around just so we will have, some form of a balance. Because once they fall, I'm almost certain that these companies, Sony, Nintendo, especially Microsoft, they're just going to go all in on digital. And if that's your thing, that's cool. I don't have a problem with digital. It's just that I know what the value is in keeping your games and the games are yours. I have all this back. I'm very proud of the games I have and I love them. But, I do have my PC right here where I have like almost, I can't even tell you how many digital games I have on it. On top of the digital stuff I got on my PS5, even on the PS3, Xbox 360. I even go back and tell you, even with the Wii, I still got stuff on my Wii and Wii U, digital stuff. So it's a lot that I just like the game in general, but I do understand the dynamics of what you have when you have a physical copy of a game, or when you have something where it's digital, and you still may feel like you own it, but digital stuff is way less secure at the end of the day. Some of these clients could kick you out of your digital games, and you can't have them anymore, or whatever the case may be. And with the physical stuff, you always have it. You'll always have your games. You always, this is Street Fighter, yeah, the 30th anniversary, just sitting here. You'll always have your games. NBA Live 03, they can't take this away no matter what. Even with the other stuff I got behind me, never take it away. So it's a give and take. So let me know what you guys think. I really will appreciate you guys' feedback on this whole situation with GameStop. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. I'm going to get up out of here, and you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you guys on the next one. Y'all take it easy and y'all be blessed. All right, y'all, I'm out. Peace.